Hello from Gamma. I am Lakshman Maaheshwary and today we will talk about the Constitution of India. The Constitution of India is the supreme law of India. It is a framework defining fundamental principles, structure, procedures, powers, and duties of government institutions. It sets out fundamental rights, directive principles for state, and duties of its citizens. It is the longest written constitution in the world. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is considered to be its chief architect. It also imparts constitutional supremacy and not parliamentary supremacy because the constitution was not created by the parliament but by a constituent assembly and adopted by its people with a declaration in its preamble. The parliament cannot override the constitution. The Constitution of India was adopted by the Constituent Assembly on 26 November 1949. The day is celebrated as Constitution Day or Samvidhan Divas. It came into effect on 26 January 1950 and the day is celebrated as the Republic Day of India. The Dominion of India, created on 15th August 1947, became the Republic of India on 26 January 1950 and it replaced the Government of India Act of 1935 and repealed the prior acts of the British Parliament via Article 395 of the Constitution of India. Here you can see Dr. Ambedkar presenting the final draft of the Indian Constitution to Dr. Rajendra Prasad on 25th November 1949. Now let us talk a little about the Constituent Assembly. It was a kind of a caretaker governing body which met for the first time on 9th December 1946. It had 389 members who were elected by the elected members of the provincial assemblies and nominated from the princely states. On 29th August 1947, the Constituent Assembly set up a drafting committee under the chairmanship of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar to prepare a draft constitution for India. The first temporary two-day president of the Constituent Assembly was Dr. Sachidanand Sinha. Later, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the president of the Constituent Assembly. Now let us have a look at the drafting committee. It took 2 years, 11 months and 18 days to complete the historic task of drafting the constitution for independent India. It held 11 sessions over 165 days. Of these, 114 days were spent on the consideration of the draft constitution. The assembly moved, discussed and disposed of as many as 2,473 amendments out of a total of 7,635 amendments tabled. The 308 members of the assembly signed 2 copies of the document, one each in Hindi and English, on 24 January 1950. Sir B. N. Rao was appointed as the constitutional advisor in 1946. He went on to become the first Indian judge in International Court of Justice from 1950 to 1954. He was responsible for the general structure of its democratic framework of the Constitution and prepared its initial draft in February 1948. Now let us talk a little about the ornamentation of the Constitution of India. The original copy is a handwritten document with beautiful calligraphy done by Prem Behari Narayan Raizada. Each page was beautified and decorated by artists from Shanti Niketan. The notable names are Beohar Ram Manohar Sinha and Nandlal Bose. The illustrations on the cover and pages represent styles from the different civilizations of the subcontinent, ranging from the prehistoric Mohenjo-daro civilization in the Indus Valley to the present times. It was published in Dehradun and photolithographed at the Office of Survey of India. The entire exercise to produce the original took nearly 5 years. The original copies of the Constitution are preserved in helium cases in the Parliament House, New Delhi. Indian Constitution is influenced by a lot of other constitutions. Let us briefly have a look at each one of them. Talking about the British Constitution, the idea of the parliamentary form of government, single citizenship, rule of law, institution of speaker, lawmaking procedure, and procedures established by law are all derived from the British Constitution. Talking about United States Constitution, we borrowed fundamental rights, federal structure of government, electoral college, independence of judiciary and separation of powers, judicial review, president as the supreme commander of the armed forces, and equal protection under law, among others. From the Irish Constitution, we derived the directive principles of state policy, and from the Australian Constitution, we derived freedom of trade and commerce, powers of national legislatures, concurrent list, terminology of the Preamble, among others. From the French Constitution, we derive the ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity. From the Canadian Constitution, we derived our federal system, also referred to as a quasi-federal form of government. Further, distribution of powers and residual powers are the concepts from Canadian Constitution. From the Soviet Union, we derive fundamental duties and constitutionally mandated planning commission. From the German Weimar Constitution, we derived emergency provisions under Article 356. From South Africa, we learned about amendment of constitution. And from Japan, we borrowed due procedure of law. Now let us talk about the structure of the Indian Constitution. At the time of its commencement in its original structure, it had 395 articles in 22 parts and 8 schedules, and it was made up of approximately 1,45,000 words. However, in its current form, as of September 2012, it has a preamble, 12 schedules, 25 parts with 448 articles and 5 appendices. Now we will talk about a very important concept of the Indian Constitution, that is the amendments to the Constitution. The process of addition, variation or repeal of any part of the Constitution under its constituent powers is called an amendment. The procedure is laid out in Article 368. The President cannot promulgate ordinance to bring out amendments. As of September 2015, there have been 120 amendment bills presented in the Parliament, out of which 100 have been passed to become amendment acts. The Constitution of India is the most frequently amended national governing document in the world. On an average, it is amended roughly twice in a year. Frequently, there is a confusion on how many number of articles are present in the Constitution. Although the last article of the Constitution is Article 395, the total number of articles as of September 2012 is 448. New articles that are added through amendments have been inserted in the relevant location in the original Constitution. In order not to disturb the original numbering, the new articles are inserted in alphanumeric enumerations. For example, Article 21A pertaining to right to education was inserted by the 86th Amendment Act without disturbing the numbering. Although our Constitution is frequently amended, there are certain limitations to the amendments. The Supreme Court has ruled in Keshwananda Bharati versus State of Kerala that an amendment cannot destroy what it seeks to modify. While amending anything in the Constitution, it cannot tinker with the basic structure or its framework, which is immutable. Such an amendment will be declared invalid even though no part of the Constitution is explicitly prevented from being amended, nor does the basic structure doctrine protect any single provision of the Constitution. The simple idea is that the Constitution should be read as a whole. A very important feature of the Indian Constitution, adopted from the United States under Article 13, is the judicial review. The Constitution is the supreme power of the nation and all laws are under its supremacy. The High Court or the Supreme Court interprets the law to decide if they are in conformity with the Constitution. Laws must be compatible with the Constitution, otherwise the laws and amendments will be deemed to be void ab initio. In the year 2000, an important committee was set up to look into the updation of the Constitution. It was called the National Commission to review the working of the Constitution. The idea was to simplify the laws and procedure and to improve the delivery of justice. Any discussion on the Constitution of India cannot be complete without talking about the preamble to the Constitution of India. As you can see, here is the preamble to the Constitution of India. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. The preamble is considered to be the heart and soul of the Constitution. It is a brief introductory statement that sets out the guiding purposes and principles of the document. It indicates the source from which the document derives its authority, meaning the people of India. The hopes and aspirations of the people as well as the ideals before our nation are described in the preamble. The legal standing of the preamble have been challenged in the Supreme Court of India time and again. The Supreme Court of India originally stated in the Beru Bari case that the preamble is not an integral part of the Indian Constitution and therefore it is not enforceable in a court of law. However, in the 1973 Keshwananda Bharati case, it overruled its earlier decision and recognized that the preamble may be used to interpret ambiguous areas of the Constitution where differing interpretations present themselves. Now it is worth mentioning that even our preamble was amended. It was amended once in 1976 by the 42nd Amendment Act. It originally described the state as a sovereign democratic republic to which the terms secular and socialist were added. The phrase unity of the nation was changed to unity and integrity of the nation. This is all about the Constitution of India. This video was brought to you by Gamma IS Classes. I am Lakshman Maaheshwary. Please like, subscribe and share to keep receiving important updates. Thank you and have a good day.